So it's time to pull in that belt, it's time to spend less, and it's time to reduce your debts. Like a captain of a ship, they set the course. You don't see them pull out of the harbor with no destination, with no course. And you don't see any ships pulling out of the harbor without anyone on board, including a captain, because then where's it go? Nowhere. You need a captain, and that captain is you. And you need to set your course. But your course has to be predictable. And it can be predictable if we just look at everything through the patterns. That's what we're going to look at today. I'm Chris Naugle, and this is What Now, What's Next. Ray Dalio says it best. He explains the economy, and he explains economies in very simple ways. There are essentially three main pieces to the economic machine. Number one, you got productivity growth. And this is the one thing that you can control. Productivity. You can work harder. You can work smarter. You can be the best at what you do, and that will all increase productivity. The productivity goes up. That's the one certain in the economy because it is one thing that we all know we can control. That's how it used to be when we followed Austrian economics. We just let the markets do what the markets did. It was a natural force. See, nature is a machine. Family's a machine, and the economy is sort of like a machine. That's why he calls it the economic machine. The second piece to the economy and the economic machine is short-term debt cycles. We've seen them, we've lived through them. Every 5 to 7 years, we have high markets and low markets. We have bulls and we have bears. You've seen them all. Count it out. It's almost every 7 years that we have one of these cycles. So, if we understand that, we can ride that pattern. But see, the big pattern that makes up this entire economic machine, as says by Ray Dalio, and this is the one you really need to pay attention to because none of us have lived through one of these. And that's why this is the hardest to see. You've all seen productivity growth, you've all seen short-term debt cycles, but you've never seen this. A 75 to 100-year cycle. This is the long-term debt cycle. Have any of you lived through one of these? Well, you'd have to go back to the 1930s to really understand this. And we've definitely never lived through a long-term debt cycle ending in this current economic environment. And this current economic environment is different than it was back in the 1930s because the way that economists view things, the way that the Fed does things, and the way the government does things are no longer viewed the same way they were back then. Some would say that economics has evolved. Others would say that we've literally gone backwards. But none of that really matters. But what does matter is how we handle this cycle. How we handle the end of a short-term debt cycle, how we handle the end of the long-term debt cycle, and what we do to get ready for that. If you follow Ray Dalio, he's got a great video on YouTube that you should all check out. And that great video is called How the Economic Machine Works. A lot of this content today is based on Ray Dalio's teachings in that 28-minute video. He also has another video that's well worth looking at, and that video is The Changing World Order, which really talks about the rise and fall of empires. Now, if you get to the end of that video, you might be a bit scared, because when you're looking at where we're headed as an empire, the United States of America, the greatest country on earth, the land of opportunity, we used to be going up, but now we seem to be going back down, and other empires are rising, namely China. So what happens? Well, change. Is change bad or is it good? Well, that is all to be decided by the eye of the beholder. And that really is you. How do you look at change? Do you like it or do you hate it? It's always going to happen. You just have to pivot with it. You have to follow the ebbs and flows of how this all works. I mean, that's how the economic machine works. It never sits steady. It's always going up, going down, going up, going down, and now all of it's converged to right here and right now. What is that going to be? Some say recession. You hear recession talked about in the news all over the place. Recession this, we're in a recession, we're not in a recession, we're headed to a recession, the inverted yield curve. All these signs, and more signs point to one direction. But others are out there saying,
this is going to be the worst. This could be the next Great Depression.
But that's met with other people saying,
no.
That's not going to happen.
So who do you believe? You don't have to believe anybody. Follow the patterns. Just look at history to decide where we're going. And if you do that, like Ray Dalio has, with more factual data than I think anybody else has ever put together, you will see where we're going. And you will see the opportunities that lie ahead. You also see the difficulties that lie ahead. Which brings me to another statement that he made. He says, treat life like a game. We've all played games, whether it's Monopoly or Pictionary or any game. If we treat life like a game, it can be pretty exciting. But if we take life too serious and we just go along with it and we just don't put any thought, no strategy, no effort into it, life's gonna beat you up. Life's gonna take you down. Speaking of games, why don't you smash that little alerts button and subscribe to this YouTube channel so that we can aid in your game of life. Now let's go one step deeper into what Ray Dalio talks about. And Ray Dalio's got a lot of books, starting with Principles, The Changing New World Order. He's also got The Big Debt Crisis. These are heavy books, 700+ page books. But if you dive into them, or you go on to the online resources, which are economicprinciples.org, you're gonna find things called white papers. White papers are where the truth, in my opinion, lies. I read them all. Now they're dry, they're boring. But white papers are typically based on factual data. And if you read the white papers about where we're headed, based on where we've been, you start to draw the conclusion of exactly what Ray Dalio is talking about. And that conclusion is, we're headed into a deflationary period. And we're headed into a changing world order. Changing world order means maybe the US will not be the leading empire. There's gonna be some challenges. There always has been in the past. It's just we haven't seen them. Most of us haven't seen them in our lifetime. Most people that will watch this video probably have never even seen a recessionary period. They've only heard about them. Or maybe they have seen it, but they've completely forgot about it because things have been so good. We've gotten very laxed. We've gotten very comfortable because most people have had good incomes. Most people have seen rising prices of their assets until just recently. And when you do that, you get this unusual sense of comfort. And that comfort is dangerous. Because once we get comfortable, we let our guard down. And once you let your guard down, you stand to lose a lot. It's time to pick the guard back up. It's time to hunker down. It's time to get your house in order. As Bob Dylan would have said in his song, the times are a-changing. One other thing I want to point out is assets. All the assets that you have come to know. Real estate, heck, right now we'll throw your car in there as assets, your stocks, your bonds, your 401k, and all those. What drives growth in those assets? There's only two different things that drives growth. Number one is inflation. We are in an inflationary period right now. No secret.
Very inflationary.
Reduce inflation.
Inflation reduction.
Disinflationary.
That drives asset prices up. What else drives assets? We talked about productivity growth early on in this. That drives asset prices. Simple, unadulterated growth. So if you combine inflation and growth all in the same, you have massive asset increases, which you're seeing right now. But what follows increases? What follows assets going up? Deflation. We're in inflation right now. It's going to be followed by deflation, maybe stagflation, but let's just focus on deflation. And what does that mean? The price of all your assets falls down. Now that won't be good for you if you've got all your money sitting in assets. And why would you have all your money sitting in assets? Well, because that's what they've told you to do. That's what they've told you to conform to. That's what they've told you to subscribe to. Dump all your money in assets, buy it, cash is trash, put your money in things. And what happens when deflation hits? Asset prices fall. Faster and faster and faster, just like dominoes going down. Is that gonna be your assets? Is that gonna be your future? Is that gonna be your plan? Shouldn't be, because there are gonna be the others. We'll call them the 5%ers. The ones who have prepared. The ones who have set their journey. The ones who have set their plan. What is that plan? To buy low. Warren Buffett said it best. Buy low, sell high, and don't lose money. There are those ready to buy low. There are those who have money on the sidelines. Even though others say that's stupid, cash is trash, you're losing money. They understand that if inflation's 9.1% and I make nothing on my money, Losing 9.1% purchasing power on my money is better than losing 30% going into assets that are declining. See what I'm saying? One is better than the other. The really smart ones have found a way to beat inflation. They have found a way to hedge inflation. They have found places to put their money that are incredibly low risk or backed by the full faith and credit of the US government, things like tips, where they're actually beating inflation right now. Are you beating inflation? Or are you worried about it? Because Ray Dalio gives you the ultimate sauce, the secret sauce for what to do next. And that is simply diversification. But when you think diversifying, you think, oh, well, I got some large caps, I got some mid caps, I got some small caps, got some of those international stocks. Stop. Diversify your asset classes. And if you really look at the modeling that Ray Dalio has done in his portfolio suggestions, you could see that they have changed their model. Their model has gone more conservative. They have increased their position in US Treasury bonds, short and long term. They have increased their cash positions. They have done things that you are told not to do. Why? Is it them versus you? No. It's creation versus conformity, as I've said before. Ray Dalio is telling you how to create. Others are telling you how to conform to what they want you to do. And a lot of times what they want you to do follows a prescription that they're giving you that suits them and pays them. Your financial advisors get paid from you investing money with them. If you're not investing money and you're sitting on the sidelines, well, that's not good for the advisor. You need to start really looking behind the curtain. You need to start looking at what's really going on and why are people telling you to do the things that they are telling you to do? Is it because they get paid for telling you to do that? Is it because it benefits them? The answer is almost 100% yes. But does that always benefit you? No. Oh, but I trust them. Oh, they've done me well. It hasn't been hard to do well in the markets. Hell, a monkey could have thrown darts at a board, hit any stock, and done well the last 10 years because it's been the longest bull run in history. Well, the bull is done. The bears are coming out of hibernation. Are you ready to fight the bears?
Oh no. We woke up the mama.
The number one thing that you really need to tackle is debt. Ray Dalio says it best. This is a period of time where debt is going to crush you, debt is going to crush companies, and debt is going to be the enemy. If you've got debts, they need to go away. You need to do everything in your power. I don't care if you got to work harder. I don't care if you got to work longer. I don't care if you got to work smarter. You got to start taking the money you're earning today, which might not be money you're able to earn tomorrow. You need to use that money today to get rid of debt. There's bad debt and there's good debt. Start with the bad debt. Get rid of those credit cards. Then move on to paying off your cars. Why don't you start paying off those lines of credit so that money's available for the next opportunities instead of being tied up because you have been trained to think that debt is good. Not all debts are good. Some maybe, others maybe not. You need to get rid of debts. That's as simple as it comes. Like I said earlier, tighten your belt, spend less, and pay off your debts. That's wise words from Ray Dalio. Can you pay your debt off? The answer is yes. Can you do it in less time than what you think? The answer is yes. The answer lies in how you do it and the process you follow. Ray Dalio gives you a lot of data and gives you a time-proven process to follow. That process is driven from history. You look at history, the people that fell during times like we're about to enter were the ones that were in debt. So it's time to wage war against your debt. And I want to be the captain of that. I want to show you how to navigate it. Check out this video right here. Check that video out and it will show you how to snowball and erase your debts like we've done hundreds of times for clients. The storm is upon us. It's time for you to prepare. I'll be your guide. Let's do this.